good evening, SAMAA, and to everybody out there. Today will be our first interview type of video that we're going to share on the group, on our very exciting I Must Fly YouTube channel, which we think has been doing extremely well. And we really appreciate everybody's comments and feedback that we've received thus far, making us drive to go above and beyond to grow the channel. Tonight we've got the brain behind the new app in South Africa, launched in South Africa. The app's name is called Aeromura, and our guest tonight is none other than Barry Theunissen, who is the mastermind behind this. Good evening, Barry. How are you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm good, thank you. Thanks for inviting me on the show, and thanks to everybody at SAMAA for all your support so far. And it's a pleasure to be here, Alec.
It's only our pleasure. Yeah, it's wonderful to have you part of our first interview. And I've mentioned the app Aeromura, but for some of our diligent SAMAA members out there, they have seen you in our communique. We've actually broadcasted you in the communique on the previous occasion. But tonight we want to see what the app is all about. And, we are very grateful for your time to spend it with us tonight. And just to talk a bit about the app and what it can do, and hopefully you've prepared some screenshots for us or something to that liking, so that we can see what it's all about, In today's day and age, everybody is scared to open an app. But I'm sure, and SAMAA is extremely sure, that the potential that this has got for all of us is very exciting. And we're here tonight to learn a bit more. So, and I'm not going to drag this all out. Can you, Barry, just take it over from here and tell us a little bit more? Where does the app come from? What happened up until this point?
Yeah, sure, Alec. Well, yeah, just so everybody knows, I'm the Chief Technology Officer of the company called Brainworks. And Brainworks is a company that's actually in America, although we work from South Africa, a lot of us. There's a lot of reasons around that, which I won't go into now. But just a bit of background around Brainworks and where did it come from and why did we start that company? We were just a bunch of RC pilots like you guys, like everybody around the world in South Africa, and we just saw a need for something that would be really lacquer to connect all pilots around the world with each other, almost like a social media platform where you can have your aircraft, see who else around the world flies exactly the same aircraft as you do, and maybe share ideas, ask questions. So we thought that would be really lacquer to have something like that. And then there's other things that guys sometimes want to do. They want to manage their batteries if they're electric flight and that sort of thing. So that was the seed to everything. But then we thought about it a bit more, and we thought, there's actually a much bigger strategic initiative around here. And what we saw was, for the past few years and decades, actually most of the last century, the traditional RC pilot around the world, including South Africa, obviously, the guys are disciplined, they're enthusiastic about aircraft and aviation. We know air law. There's things we behave and we regulate ourselves, which is like the main thing, But then, of course, drones came along in like the last 7 or 8 years. Not that any of us have anything against drone pilots, but unfortunately, the drone hobbyists, and I'm using the word hobbyists mainly here, every man and his dog can walk into a hobby shop these days and he spend 1,000 Rand or 2,000 Rand and he comes home with a drone. And he's largely ignorant. He doesn't even know of an institution like SAMAA or air law or anything. And he flies this thing now in his back garden. And a lot of these cheap drones even are actually quite capable. I mean, they can get to 1,000, 2,000, maybe even 3,000 feet. And that's obviously now an issue with the integration with general aviation and commercial aviation and all of that. So that's become a problem for aviation authorities throughout the world. And so they've been trying to grapple with the situation. And we need to remember that there are far more drone hobbyist pilots out there in the world than there are RC aircraft pilots. I mean, to give you an idea, 10 million drones were shipped into the United States last year. And there's nowhere near that kind of number of RC aircraft. But the problem we identified is, but the authorities are now, they had this hot potato, this problem they've got to deal with. So they've come out with new laws, even here in South Africa with the Civil Aviation Authority and so on. And the problem is us traditional RC aircraft pilots who are disciplined and we toe the line. We're now lumped together and thrown together with all these drone pilots and all their new laws. And we perceived as a bunch of pilots, this is actually a potential threat in a way to our beloved hobby. So we thought we need to find a way of sorting this problem out. And we thought, well, if we come with an app or something like that where we can increase visibility and transparency of what us as RC aviation enthusiasts do, then we can start to show that we are good at self-regulating, we know what we're doing and so on, and that can be a kind of a defense mechanism or some sort of way of showing that we are actually in control of what we're doing. We're not like the average hobbyist who sits at home with his drone. So that's where the thought came to develop this app. And so that actually happened in 2016. That was about 4 or 5 years ago. So we spent the next 4 years researching the internet all over the world to try and find every single flying location and club that we could find, including most of the ones that are in South Africa. And we wanted to, provide the first version of the app with the first bit of value add to RC pilots. And we thought, well, a nice thing to do would be to have an app which you can pull up wherever you are in the world, wherever you are in South Africa, and you can see where are your closest flying clubs, and what is the weather even, and so on. So in October of last year, we actually launched the app for the first time, and we've been quite astonished by how the enthusiasm around the world with pilots. We've got 6,500 pilots now that use the app almost on a daily basis around the world, and about 600 in South Africa. So it's been very encouraging, and we really love the support. But part of our vision and strategy is that we don't want to go this on our own way. We don't want to try and control things. We want the pilot community to drive everything in this app and all the data and so on, and guide us and help us add functionality that they feel they might need, and to engage the pilot community. And very importantly, we want to engage all the pilot organizations around the world. And that's why we're very proud to have recently signed an agreement with SAMAA that we now have a formal partnership going forward.
That's excellent. So you say you've already got 600 registered pilots in South Africa taking part in this app. Yeah, on a daily basis. So that's very encouraging, and I think they're getting a lot of benefit from it. Can you just for the guys out there, I think by now you've got me excited to see what this can do. Can you show us a bit more? What does the app look like? How does it feel? I don't know if there's something you prepared for us.
Absolutely. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch the screen so everybody can see it. I'm actually going to bring my cell phone up onto the screen so everybody can see it, and I'll give you a quick talk through of that. So let me just bring my screen up here. Okay, can you see, Alec? Can you see?
Yeah, I can see your cell phone screen up now, yeah.
Yeah, so here's my cell phone, and the app that you can download, anybody can download it. It's free, you don't have to pay anything. You can, if you've got an Apple iPhone or an Android device, you go to either if you're on Android, you go to the Google Play Store, or if you're on the Apple iPhone, then you can go to the App Store, and you search for Aeromura. I'll give you
Aeromura. Does it mean something? Aeromura? Is it?
It's funny you ask, Alec. A lot of people have asked, now where did we come up with this name? Okay.
Yeah.
It's really just a play on words. So Aero is, it's aviation, it's aero stuff. And Mura is a play on words of the word mirror. So what we want to do is give you a mirror on the world of RC aviation.
Okay.
Out the world. So we wanted a nice catch name. So we came up with Aeromura, and that's where the name comes from. So you search for that name in the Play Store, and you download it. It's for free, and then you run it, and then you sign up. You've got to give your email address, your name, and so on, and a few things like that. Not much. We're very conscious of privacy. We have a very, very extensive privacy policy, and we protect that like gold. We will never share your information with anybody else. In fact, if we did, and I just want to mention this because I know a lot of people are concerned about privacy issues. If we had to share that information, there is extensive fines for us around privacy law in South Africa. Even in the last 2 weeks, just in the last 2 weeks, I think they actually finalized a lot of laws around that. So I just want to assure everybody that you are protected. There's no ways we're going to break any of that stuff. We will be in deep trouble. So anyway, so you sign up with the app.
You comply to the poppy laws and all that's out there.
That's it. Yeah. Right. In fact, beyond that, because we're an American-based company, and those oaks are hardcore. I mean, there's a California Online Protection Privacy Act. We actually subscribe to that, which is like probably 3 times even more stringent than the local poppy laws and all of that.
Good to know.
For sure, with that. So yeah, when you open the app and you've signed up, I'm just opening it on the phone. That's what you're gonna see. The app takes a few seconds to start up. Now it will ask you for permission for your location, because it needs to know that. Otherwise, it can't tell you where is your local flying fields if it doesn't know where you are. So, yeah, let me just sort out this filter here. So it doesn't know local. So what will happen when you open the app? Sorry, I'm just resetting things here a bit. It will come up with a screen like this. And at the bottom you have favorites. You have something we call favorites, and then we have local and global and legend. So local is all the local flying fields within 100 kilometers of you. Where are they? And global is every single flying field in the world. So you can search anywhere. There's something like 12,000 of these things. So that will be on now the global tab.
Okay.
But most of the time you probably won't go into global. You'll end up with local wherever you are, and it's dynamic. Depending on where you are, it's going to change that list for you. Okay. So what is it? Sorry, Alec, you wanted to ask something.
So wherever you travel within 100 kilometers radius, it will display then the RC fields. Are these registered RC fields?
The vast majority of them are, Alec, but there's a lot of fields that people have put in themselves. There might be private flying fields on their farm and so on, and their buddies go there. It's not really part of the regulations, and we allow that because all the data you see about all the flying fields, it's not controlled by us. We don't control what goes in there. It's driven by the pilot community, and I'll show you that now. So you can actually modify data, you can add a flying field, you can make it private, and all kinds of lekker stuff like that. You know, if you make it a private airfield, then it won't come up for all the other pilots. There won't someone like start rocking up at your at your private farm, for example.
Okay.
So basically what it's going to list is all the fields, and it's going to list the closest one first, and then as you scroll up like that, then we're getting further away from where you are. You can see there that's now Aero Aces is now 29.4 kilometers away, and so on. And for each one, it's going to tell you what is the facilities there with these little icons here. So if it's got a little black runway, that means there's a hard surface runway available there. If it's got a flag, that means it's an officially registered SAMAA club. Sometimes it won't have a flag. It might be, like I said, a guy's private farm or something. Then it's little
icons. Important. I think this day and age, it's important to know if you're going to fly at a club that it's an official SAMAA certified club. I think that's very important.
Yeah, absolutely. And then it's showing us, this club actually allows people with drones to go there, fixed wing, helicopters, gliders, and so on. And these are all the motor types. They will allow electric flight. That's an electric motor, a nitro gas turbine. In fact, if you tap on the legend here, it's giving you a nice description of what does all those icons mean. So there you can see there's a private one even with a padlock. If you see that, then you know you actually can't fly there without the guy's permission, the owner's permission, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So besides all that little bit of information, which is handy when you're traveling around, but for your local clubs, it's now giving you the weather as well, and that's real time. So, it's telling us, in this case, at Delmas Model Vlieg Club, we've got wind conditions at the moment of 13 kilometers an hour, gusting to 17. That's the wind direction, the temperature, and so on. And it's telling us it's good to fly. And also it's telling us there's flying opportunities all week. So we can go into that and we can actually find out more information just by tapping on that club. And it's going to give us now not just the weather, but it's going to, if you open up the wind chart, for example, it's taking a little while on my computer there, it's giving you for the next 10 days or so, how's the wind looking at this location? And then it's giving you the actual forecast right down to the hour for the next 10 days. And what it does, it actually does it in terms of colors as well. So it's green if it's good to fly. It's a bit windy now on this one, which is orange. So it's kind of marginal. Maybe it's flyable, maybe not.
Yeah.
And otherwise you'll see pink if it's not good to fly. And how does it know that? Well, every pilot has different comfort levels in terms of what they're prepared to fly and what wind speeds and so on. And that is completely modifiable by any pilot. You can customize that just by going to your settings, for example, and you can say what is your preferred wind speed limit. So over here, I'm saying I prefer to fly when the wind is like 10 k's an hour or less. And also I say I'm not going to fly above 20 k's an hour. So you can adjust that to your personal preferences, and based on that, then it will give you the different colors, and it will tell you if it's good to fly and so on. Yeah. So and then there's a map facility as well. So there's all my local clubs over here. I can move around in there. I can tap on one of them, and I can see now what is that club there. Just my mouse is not responding here so nicely, but anyway. On your phone, you can tap on one of these things and it will tell you the Dagate. So that's Umbula radio flyers. I tapped on that icon. It's not enough light. And it gives you the colors as well, what's good to fly and what's not. Yeah, and then just quickly, so there's more information as well. So if I go in there, I just showed you the weather, but you can actually also go into the details and you can see now, is this thing active? Is it an active flying location? Or maybe it's inactive because it's old or whatever the case may be, or is it private? What is the facilities about that club? It's a club, it's got a hard runway, what wing types and so on does it allow? And then if there was contact information, although there's no contact information for this particular club at the moment, but it would actually list for you the person's name, the cell phone number, and blah, blah. And then you can also go get a more extensive map of where it is. You can get driving directions exactly to where it is by just clicking on these icons and so on, so forth. And if you want to change the information, you can just go over there with this icon at the top, and we can now go and actually modify the information. Now, a big concern about that is, well, now, what's to stop somebody going and messing up information? That's always the immediate question. So what happens behind the scenes is it doesn't interrupt the pilot, or whoever's doing the modifications doesn't even know about this. But as soon as something is modified and changed, it actually comes through to our company. We've got people that audit it straight away. So if they see there's rubbish data going in there, they can reject the changes almost instantly, and it goes back to the old values. Then the pilot also gets informed that unfortunately his changes were rejected. There's a whole appeal process as well. So he gets an email. He can actually appeal the rejection and then give his reasons. And then there's another. Then our auditing people will check it out again. And if they're happy, they might accept it. Otherwise, they reject it outright. The nice thing here as well, which we've just implemented in the last week or so, is that every time this happens, SAMAA is also informed. So they can reconcile against all their flying clubs the data there, whether they can keep it up to speed, which is really nice. So a club chairman or club committee, they can just modify the data in the app, and they can feel confident that SAMAA knows about it. They don't need to now also tell SAMAA, okay, now there's a new chairman, that's his new name, that's his cell phone number. It can change it straight in the app, and Linda at SAMAA knows about it, and she'll update the records. So yeah, it's a very nice, convenient sort of thing to have.
Yeah, I must say, I think SAMAA and the Brainworks joining forces is a very big step in the direction of electronic record keeping of what's happening in South Africa, the flying fields that's opening up and some closing down, getting all the databases up to speed. And what's remarkable for me is, if sometimes I just throw in a park flyer in the boot, going down to visit the family, and then you just use the app and see who's in your surroundings, and you can quickly pop in there, have a quick flight, talk to the guys. You've got the information. I can contact the chairman, see if the guys are out there, and so on, which is remarkable for me. And I think from SAMAA point of view, there's so many possibilities. I mean, we've only started discussing this in the last couple of months. Events that can be highlighted as and when they happen. So if it's in your area, you can see that there's an event happening and what the details is about the event. Should you wish to join or should you wish to partake in that. But Barry, you've just mentioned to me during this week when we had a preparation discussion about something new that's coming to the app. And just briefly, I don't want to give away too much information, but it made me very excited just to show how far we can go with this. Do you mind sharing that information with the various planes that's now going to be registered on?
I'd love to, Alec. It's really getting exciting now. As I said, October 20 last year, we launched the first version of the app. That was the first piece of value add in terms of the flying locations. Just over a week ago, we launched a new version of the app, an upgraded version with the next piece of the jigsaw puzzle, so to speak. And now we've actually got just about all the kits, well-known kits and manufacturers of ARFs and so forth in the world is now also in the app. So from the main menu now, you will see kits and manufacturers here. So if we go into that, for example, you can think of something, Alec, if you want, or I'll just pick one. But now it's listing all the kits that are known. And you can also, at the bottom here, you can see there's kits, there's manufacturers. You can actually go by manufacturer if you want. And then there's also Legend just telling you that similar stuff that I showed you earlier. But for example, let's go to Hobby King, which is quite a well-known sort of manufacturer. A lot of guys have, foamies and whatever. So I can go into Hobby King, for example, and it tells me they're in business, they do fixed wings, this is the stuff they do. These are all the kits they provide. And then, for each one, you might want to go to check out some specifications. So it's telling me, yes, one of their kits, the Avios Spitfire, he's got a wingspan of 1,450 millimeters and he weighs 2.7 kilos. But I can go in there now and I can actually pull up straight away. I can see, okay, some information there. I can go straight to the web page for that product. I can actually play a YouTube video. I can go and see what is his CG. So in this case, it's 90 millimeters there, and it's telling us like some information here. And then there's also, if you tap here, it will actually tell you how to balance your aircraft. So this is nice for people that are, just getting into the hobby, for example. It just gives them a bit of guidance. Then it will also give you all the throws, the low rates, the high rates for the relevant things. So in this case, I'm looking at the aileron now. I can go to elevator and so on and so on. And it will even tell you how to adjust the throws for those new people again as well. So then there's all that information there. So yeah, and then it will give you, what is the recommended engines and the flying battery and so on for that aircraft. So the bottom line is there's a big library of all the aircraft manufacturers and kits in the world now, which is a nice handy reference to have at the field. And furthermore, this data is also driven by the pilot community. So sometimes there's a kit where the CG is not known or whatever, and the pilot can actually go in here and edit it just like a location, and he can actually put that data in, and then he helps the whole community. But most of it's kind of in there. It's not an extensive thing at the moment. We don't claim to know every single kit or manufacturer in the world, but it is growing daily. And we've noticed that pilots are already putting data in. So yeah, that was the next big piece of functionality, Alec. But just going forward, and just briefly, quickly, I don't want to take too much time, but we've got an extensive roadmap for this product and where we're going with this app. You mentioned events. Yes, events is definitely coming as well. You're going to be able to actually see what pilots are on the system at some point, sort of like Facebook. So you'll scroll through all the oaks, you'll see their pictures, you'll be able to go in there, you'll see what aircraft they got. You'll be able to go to a flying location and say, look, I want to file a flight plan. We're going to call it a flight plan. And then you can tell, you can say, I'm going flying on Saturday, I'm taking that and that aircraft. Now, everybody else in that vicinity knows, hey, Alex is going to be there, he's taking that airplane or whatever. And then, so that was always our idea and our vision, is to bring the pilot community together and connect them lacquer. So we're going to take steps as we go along. And one of the big things coming in the next version of the app in terms of the weather, we're actually going to give ATIS. For those of you who don't know what ATIS is, but in the real world, with real aircraft, you have aircraft traffic information services, which is like a voice playback of the wind, the active runway. And we're going to include that in the flying locations coming in the next version, where it's going to give you actually what runways are available. What, runway 21, runway 25, for example. It will tell you the runway lengths. It will tell you if there's crosswind conditions there at the moment and all that. So, yeah, it's getting very exciting, Alec, and I'm just, I can't find enough time in the day, with the excitement I have around this app, especially with the support that we've got from the pilots around the world. This has gone beyond our wildest dreams, and we're just so happy that we are getting the encouragement and support. So yeah, Alec, thanks to SAMAA and thanks to all our pilots, and watch the space. You're going to see some fantastic things coming in the next few months still.
Well, it certainly sounds very exciting. Yeah, and thank you for your time, just showcasing, how far you guys have come to date, and congratulations. It's very important that the RC community grow with the technology. We can't be left behind, and it's certainly these types of apps that just makes it that little bit easier, and just getting the community closer together, which I think is going to make a very big difference going forward with this hobby. So we're very excited to see about your future opportunities. And Barry, hopefully this is not going to be the first and last interview.
I don't think so, Alec.
Yeah. And, I need to say to all the members out there, looking at the video, please get in contact with us. One thing I can say about Barry and his team is they're very open to suggestions, very open to see how better we can grow all of this. And I think there's one common goal in mind, and that is to grow and sustain our beloved hobby. And it's not just the hobby, it's the love for aviation. Already I can see you growing into the bigger aero market. And there's certain positives and opportunities that are going to come from that. And I maintain that aviation, a big part of it is a common love that you'll find between any pilot, whether he's a RC pilot, whether he's a full-scale pilot, whether he's a retired pilot. As soon as an engine starts on a thing that looks like an aeroplane, man, our hearts will just skip a beat or two. We just wanted to, driven to go and see what it's all about. So thank you for all of that. Thank you to you and your team. And already I'm looking forward to our next interview. And I'm sure the community will be supporting us going through this. So thank you very much for that. Then from my side, guys, what's exciting is besides this, we are preparing for our first DIY video. So in line with what Barry just said, keeping in mind in the beginning phases of this YouTube channel is to not just draw the guys in who've packed away his RC models, getting him to itch a bit and his fingers to start twinkling and he wanted to go back to the field and flying. It's also the beginners. And our next video that we're busy shooting now is our first DIY video. And we're going to just take Barry, how many times, I don't know, maybe in your side, I remember buying my first aeroplane, regardless whether it's second-hand or over-the-counter type ARF, and you just don't know anything. You don't know where to start.
Yeah.
How do you check this? How does this thing fly? Why does it fly? Absolutely. And you've mentioned your CGs and elevator throws, which I think is remarkable. I personally think a lot of the pilots out there will make use of that. But we're going to make a DIY video with a very great person, a person that's well known within the RC industry as well. And, we're very grateful for his time and the time that he's going to stand off to us for the next couple of videos. But the first one will be ARF kit. You just bought it, regardless whether it's second-hand or new. Get it out of the box, and then first do your checks from top to tail to make sure everything is good. And if it's not, how to quickly get it done. So thank you very much from my side, Barry. Again, thank you for your time. Looking forward to our next video.
Thank you, Alec. Been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. And we're looking forward to your comments, guys. Barry, just contact details if the guys want to jump onto it. What we'll do is at the bottom of the screen, we'll share the link. It will also be available in the comment section. So we'll have a link. Please feel free, click on that. All the information will be there. And then, very important, if you haven't done so by now, click that all-important subscribe button with a reminder. We really want to grow. One of our biggest or first milestones is to have 1,000 subscribers, which will just, increase our chances of surviving our YouTube channel and getting it done. The big aim, like myself and Barry are well aware of, is to keep this going for a couple of years. It's not short term. We're in it for the long run. Again, Barry, thank you very much for your night. You must have a good one, a good week. Happy landings for that beautiful plane you've got there in the background. And hopefully we'll see each other very, very soon. And to all the members out there, you must have a wonderful night.